Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Stranger Days, and this is a story that I in no way want to report on and not one that I want to talk about, but I do feel that it is worthwhile to discuss given the nature of the incident. And I'm talking about Lauren McCluskey, the 20-year-old University of Utah student, or the 21-year-old University of Utah student who was shot and killed on campus last night. And everyone is dealing with the aftermath today, and it is very tragic. Very, very, very tragic. It says here that police say former boyfriend fatally shot Utah athlete from Pullman before killing himself. Now, that is probably the only silver lining in this entire story, is that the son of a bitch who did it, the psychopath who pulled the trigger, then took his own life. Too bad it couldn't have happened first. That way, it would have been a lot better, right? But that's not the way the world works. Anyway, Lauren McCluskey, a track and field athlete for the University of Utah's track and field team, was found shot to death Monday night in a car outside of the campus resident hall. The suspect, a 37-year-old registered sex offender named Melvin Rowland, was later found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside of a church near downtown Salt Lake City. In a statement released on Tuesday morning, McCluskey's mother described her daughter's final moments. Last night, a little before 9 p.m., she was returning to her university apartment from her night class and talking to me on the phone. Suddenly, I heard her yell, "No, no, no," and I thought she might have just been in a car accident. That was when I last heard from her. My husband called 911. I kept the line open. In a few minutes, a young woman picked up the phone and said all of Lauren's things were on the ground. Joe McCluskey also said her daughter had previously dated her killer for about 1 month before she ended the relationship on October 9th after learning of Rowland's criminal history. She also said that Rowland harassed her daughter after the breakup. Now, this is a problem with dating, right? I mean, you never really know. Social media is meant to ultimately allow us, I think, a weird voyeuristic bird's eye view into someone's identity in order to somewhat confirm if they are who they say they are. But you ultimately still never know. People put on masks and facades all the time on social media as a way to protect their true identity. And Melvin here, he definitely did that. And this is what she discovered, saying here he lied to her about his name, his age, and his criminal history. Lauren was informed by a friend about his criminal history, and she ended the relationship with her killer on October 9th. He had borrowed her car, and she requested for the University of Utah police to accompany her on October 10th, 2018 to get the car back. She blocked his and his friend's phone numbers and complained to University of Utah police that she was being harassed. And that's always a problem when you have a messy breakup like this, because what happens is a lot of people don't deal with it well. And this guy clearly had a history, right? He had a criminal history. From what I read, he was a registered sex offender. This was not a good dude. And she, being young, dating a guy who was lying to her, probably lying to her about every single thing he told her, she thought she was going to get away. She thought she was going to be able to be free. And he just could not handle the rejection. So he killed her. According to Watkins, University police received a report about a possible abduction in a parking lot outside of the residence hall about 8:20 p.m., with students reporting that they had heard an argument, then gunshots. McCluskey's body was found inside of a parked car near the south tower of the Medical Plaza, the resident hall on campus. Police placed a campus on lockdown as they searched for Rowland, who was identified as a suspect in a university alert issued at 12:01 a.m. At 1:47 a.m., the school ended the lockdown, saying that Rowland has been located and is no longer a threat. KSL TV reports that police learned Rowland was near Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church, about 4 miles west of campus near downtown Salt Lake City. Officers spotted him and pursued him on foot until he forced his way into a church through a back door. They found him inside, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. According to the Utah State Sex Offender Registry, the 37-year-old Rowland was convicted of enticing a minor and forcible attempted sexual abuse, both felonies, in 2014. She had no way of knowing who she was dating. This guy clearly had a penchant for young women, and when she rejected him, he killed her. I have to just kind of ask the question. After he killed her, after he shot her, obviously I think he knew he was done, right? And they found him near a church. So I'm wondering if he was going to a church to pray for forgiveness before killing himself, and the cops just happened to interrupt him. And I know part of me like thinks I should want for that. I should want someone to acknowledge their mistakes and beg for forgiveness. But is it bad that I don't want that here? Is it bad that I don't want this man to have had the opportunity to do that before taking his own life? Does that make me a bad person? I mean, this was not a good person. This was not a good guy. This was someone who had hurt people before. He would have clearly hurt people again had he gotten away with this. He would have he murdered a young woman for simply rejecting him, for simply breaking up with him because she learned that he had lied to her, and he chose to act in that particular way and to snuff out a life that was so young. I mean, she was a communications major at the University of Utah. She's from here in Washington, right? The state that I live in. Not that we know each other or anywhere connected. We're not. But it's like, is it bad that I don't want salvation for that person? You know, because you see a pattern of clearly abuse. And what I would argue would be no remorse. At the end of the day, this is just another tragedy to befall our country. Another young person taken out before their time. I'm trying to think, when I look at these kind of stories, I often ask myself, is there a lesson to be learned here? Not to say that, like, there is. Not to say that there would ever really, truly be one. But I ask myself, nonetheless, if there's a lesson to be learned. Does her death teach us anything? I think I ask those questions because I have to process it in a way that's how I process. I mean, I don't know. Be more careful with who you date. Conduct background checks on who you date. I mean, you know, the dating scene is already bad enough as it is, right? Like, now you have to add this to the mix. And all this does is just incite fear amongst people, young people who are single and dating. She never got the opportunity to live her life. She caught on to the fact that this guy was not who he said he was. And she went to remove him from her life, and he couldn't take that. So he took her life and then his own. And I'm not a religious person, but I hope wherever he is, it's fiery and doesn't feel good. Because Melvin Rowland is a coward. And he took a coward's way out. After a cowardly act, probably after a very cowardly life. With him being dead, absolutely nothing of value is lost. I think that's the best way to look at it. Her, on the other hand, Lauren, value was lost. And that's the worst damn part. Anyway, I'll leave it to you to post your thoughts and opinions on this one. I appreciate if you guys give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want more coverage like this, these kind of stories. And I will talk to you guys later. Please be very safe out there with who you meet, with who you give personal information. Just be careful. And have a good one, and peace out.